Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Dani, the wicked awesome gardener, and it's been a while. Normally I like to put out 2 to 3 videos a week, but this month has been very busy, so I was kind of on a weekly schedule for a bit, and now it's been nearly 2 weeks. Well, that gap is over. We're going to be doing a lot more content. I've got a lot of videos planned, and oh my god, something crazy exciting has happened. You're going to hear more about that on Wednesday when I release my video, because that's exactly how this feels, is but yeah, you'll hear all about that on a video I'm going to post up on Wednesday, and then you'll be getting some periodic videos and maybe some lives from where I'm going. Yes, I'm making a trip. Guys, you have no idea, I'm so excited. But anyway, it's been a couple of weeks. The garden has definitely been growing and flourishing. We're not close to harvesting most things yet, but we're getting there. So I figured I would take you around to show you what's changed. And the tomatoes, you can already kind of see the different kinds. So I'm really excited to show you that. So let's go take a look at the garden. So let's start off with these beans here. They're finally really getting up and growing. They've actually, some of them already reached the top of the trellis, and they're still going. I'm really missing my arched trellises right now, because I would love to just arch those right up and over and make that pretty archway that I did last year. Oh, I miss it. But look at the scarlet runner beans. Look at those flowers. They're so pretty. It's going to be gorgeous when these kind of scarlet or kind of orangey red blooms are joined by the purple ones of the Cherokee Trail of Tears beans, and then the white ones of the Kentucky Wonder Pole beans. But I'm excited. We're gonna have beans soon. Hello, Madam Bumblebee. So glad to see you here doing your job. The tomatoes are really starting to come up, and they are looking like a forest, because my dad will not let me prune them at all, and it's driving me, the single stemmer, absolutely crazy. But lack of pruning woes aside, look at that truss of Cherokee purples. That's going to be a very delicious set of tomatoes there. So I'm so excited to finally see some really getting some growth. Plants really starting to get up tall. I do like these cages that he's made. They're very old. You can see they're quite rusty, but I didn't plant any cherry tomatoes in this garden, and this is a volunteer from my dad's previous years of growing here, and so we're gonna get some cherry tomatoes after all. I figured it's kind of grown up in between 2 of these cages, so it can kind of be supported at least from there. The nasturtiums have gone wild. This is a lot of nasturtium, and these leaves are huge. I keep meaning to make a salad out of them, but I did finally get to taste them this year, and these leaves are delicious. They are really nice and peppery. I've determined I have actually 3 luteshire plants and 1 jalapeno. My dad keeps picking the jalapenos where they're tiny instead of letting them grow. The bell peppers are not as short as they were. They really are starting to get taller. So I wouldn't say tall, but taller. So I'm excited about those. We'll eventually get some peppers there. Those gigantic potatoes have finally started to die back. They tried to set flowers 3 or 4 times. We just kept plucking them off, and so they kept growing, but they have finally given up the ghost. And in a week or so, because some of these are still very vigorous and very green and tall, but I think we're going to be harvesting potatoes little by little over the next couple of weeks, and I'd like to hurry that up because they are falling over onto my summer squash here. The zucchini plants are really getting up though. Look at that. They just took off this week. They're looking a little droopy now. We did just give them water though, so they'll be perking up. It's about time to harvest this garlic, and the tomatoes have fallen all over on all the onions. I never did end up harvesting the garlic scapes. This is what happens when a garlic scape blooms, and essentially this is garlic seed. So what my dad does, instead of planting bulbs of garlic, he will actually just take all of these little bits here and just scatter them into the garden. They're like little tiny bulbs. He just scatters them in the garden, and then where garlic comes up, that's where the garlic grows. Let's check and see if we have any female zucchini flowers starting in here. I haven't actually really looked closely yet. I think it's just starting to get up and flower. I see a lot of male flowers. Oh, there's a female flower. All right, get up and growing, you guys. I want some zucchini. It's late. Here's another cherry tomato that's up and growing, and it looks like the tiny variety, or it may just be because the plant is still pretty small. Again, things are looking a little droopy. We did just water, but they should pop up soon. But this is the honey nut squash. I don't have them set to trellis. I'm just gonna let them grow out here over the yard. I'm gonna clean up this area and then bring them up and over our little fence and just let them grow out. Actually, I think one of these is honey nut, and I think one of them is angel hair squash. After I planted them, my dad got in here and dug a bunch of stuff up to plant other stuff because he wasn't paying attention. This one may be angel hair squash. If I don't get any angel hair, I'll know that's why. But this one here, everybody cross your fingers for me, because this is Kajari melon. And you guys know it all got shaded out last year. Well, I've given it more room this year. It's gonna go up this trellis. And if those cucumbers that are over here, these are all Market More cucumbers that are finally up and growing and getting up the trellis. Woohoo! If those Market Mores take over, I'm gonna get my cattle panels from my friend's house and I'll put it here and grow these up and over. And hopefully that will give them enough space, because I want my Kajari melons, man. I really do. I think actually what my dad was doing when he was planting over here is he threw like some random things in, so I think this actually might be a bleeding heart. So I will have to be very careful when I pull these out, and I'll have to transplant those bleeding heart over into the side yard. The eggplant finally seemed to have recovered, and they're starting to take off and get growing. I love eggplant flowers. They're just always so pretty. So I don't know how many of whatever eggplants that I have, but eggplant is what I will get. Those eggplant got really stunted because they stayed in their pots too long. I really waited too long to transplant them out. Plus, when I brought them to the community garden to plant them over there, they got ravaged by flea beetles almost right away. So they definitely had a lot of time needed to recover, but looks like they're gonna be just fine. I'm really getting excited about these tomatoes because we're getting to the point where you can see the differences in each kind. Like this one is the get stuffed, and you can see kind of how it's all kind of fluted. It almost kind of looks like a pumpkin. These are the giant crimson. They're not very giant yet. I know that they're not really supposed to be a huge beefsteak, but they are barely bigger than cherry tomatoes right now, so hopefully they're gonna get larger. These are the Cherokee purple tomatoes that I showed you earlier, and you can see kind of how the tops are a darker green. This is gonna change to a sort of blackish purple color just up on the shoulders of the tomato, so that's gonna look really cool. These Costoluto Genovese, you can see how they're kind of flat but fluted, so they have all those little bumps to the sides, and so they're gonna look kind of like those little pumpkins you get at Halloween, except that they're going to be, you know, red instead of orange. But this one is the coolest at the moment. Now this particular tomato looks pretty ugly right now because it must have been a fasciated blossom, which is like multiple blooms put together, and they make one like big super flower. You can see how thick that stem was compared to, say, these individual ones, but heirloom tomatoes are really, really prone to cat facing, and this is a very cat-faced, weird-looking tomato. So I'm going to be interested to see how that comes out. But this is a Berkeley tie-dye pink, and you can see all the striping on it. And so I can't wait for those to color up, because that's going to look so cool. I can't wait. But thank you so much for coming along for this garden tour. I'm sorry I've been MIA for a little bit, but I'm definitely back into the swing of things with filming regular content. Despite the traffic, there's been an increase of traffic on my road due to 2 bridge closes in my area, so now everything routes by my house. Wonderful. So apologies for all of that. But don't forget to click the subscribe button if you haven't already. We're going to have that big announcement on Wednesday of the amazing thing that has happened. It's probably going to spur a lot of growth to the channel, which is something that I'm really, really excited about. It's definitely going to get me closer to my homestead goals. And so hopefully you will be along to see that. Again, thanks for coming along. I'll see you guys later in our next video. Bye-bye.